cell phones as learning tools. This module will look at what is possible when we take them out of their pockets and we start to use them as learning tools. Now, not everybody agrees with me out there. And a lot of people still would like to lock up the technology. So I thought I'd better just start off with a few of the things that I hear from people when we talk about cell phones in the classroom. Well, if you're not at the middle school, high school level, maybe you don't know this, but here's the newsflash. They do text during class. They wear hoodies so they can put their fingers in their pockets and they can text. They're already distracted. They're students, they're distracted. Maybe we could change our assignment that it would be okay to look up answers on the internet. I hear all the time, cheat, 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 cheat. They're going to take a picture of a test and send it to somebody. What if they didn't listen to your lecture? They could be anywhere on the internet at any time. They already are, everybody. They can go around the filter to go to bad places. And usually people don't say this out loud, but I think one of the biggest fears is the shift in control. They will lose control. But over and over again, cheat, 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 cheat. Well, let's take a look at pens and pencils. They weren't banned. They weren't banned when we figured out that we could write notes. Potentially, some of these beautiful, lovely people might have taken and written down the answers in period 1. Now, I don't know this to be true. I just found some beautiful picture on Flickr, and maybe they handed it to their friend in the hallway. But guess what? If they did that, we still didn't ban the pen. Now look at those dicey things. Could you imagine? Those actually could cause physical harm. Look at those pointy things. But we still didn't ban the pen, even though some kids could make bad choices and pass notes. Instead, we talked about it, we set our norms, we did all different things, and still there'll be some people that make bad choices. We know that. Pencils. Lead poisoning. Oh my gosh. Not anymore, but, and they were not banned. Think about it. We didn't ban these weapons. So I think we need to rethink the whole conversation about cell phones. I love this. I will always yell. Let's just take a moment to read this. Take her stapler and say Billy ate it. 4 to 7. I like it. All little kids. Steal the answer key. Look at number 9. Steal the answer key. Copy it. Place bubble gum in it. If you follow these rules faithfully, you'll get very good results. Thank you, Flickr, for that little note. Feel free to leave a note. I love this too, Flickr. Leave a note on my computer. So, just because we could pass notes, fold them up in our pocket, and hand them off to anybody, didn't mean that we banned technology. We have to start rethinking this. We can't ban technology anymore. So instead of all the reasons not to help this, let's think about how a cell phone could help us collaborate with others. Problem solving. We could text. Yes, we could text. We could text an expert. We could be engaged with a topic. Go anywhere on the internet anytime to get any answer we need. Go around the filter that's blocking us from critical information we need for our research. Seek help when needed by your expert contact list. How about if we share answers and then analyze the difference and how we got to the different answers? Maybe the learner will be in control. But again, everybody's cheat, 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 cheat. We have to rethink. Because this is not a cell phone. Anybody that lives with any teenager, young adult, know that they barely talk to anybody on the phone. They text and they do just about everything else but talk on the phone. And so we need to rethink, how could we use this powerful computer? This is a computer in their pocket. It is very difficult today to find a cell phone that does not have a keyboard and a data plan. Now, when I get to about this part of the presentation, somebody usually raises their hand and says, how about those people that don't have it? And I always go back to the great calculator debate. Should we use calculators in the classroom? What happens if they rely on the calculator? What happens if their calculators broken or stolen? How about what happens to those kids that don't have a calculator? Well, flash forward years later, we figured out a way to do this so that everybody had access to the tools that we need. Now we're going to have to start rethinking this. But my most important thing that I say at this point when people bring this up is I wouldn't have students work independently with their cell phones all the time. I would have them in groups and have it as just one resource to go ahead and solve the challenging problems that are in front of us. It's a resource. But for many older adults, we look at it as a phone. To many students today, that is their computer. And it has a lot more memory than some of my original computers. Many people, it is like a part of their body. We have to begin to get our arms around that they sleep with phones, they eat with phones, they're constantly connected. And so how can we use that for good instead of evil is really the key to this whole debate, I believe. Well, some of you will look at that and say iPod Touch, iPhone. What our students will look at that is go, ooh, what apps do they have? This is about custom learning. Custom. Everybody can have separate apps. Everybody can have different things. And that's one of the greatest assets for us in the classroom. There's the calculator. Now, the $1.99 app of the scientific calculator, better than anything Texas Instruments has ever made. So why don't we use that app for $1.99 instead of something else? So last week when I was talking about this, somebody said, well, how about the SATs, ACTs? Well, we're going to have to play that game for at least the next couple of years that students need to know how to use not only their phone, but a calculator. But who knows what the future is going to bring when it comes to assessment and the tools that are allowed to be used. I don't think we know that answer yet. This is huge. Sometimes it's called BYOD for device. I like to call it BYOT for bring your own technology. But bring your own tool to the classroom to solve problems, to work collaboratively. This BYOT thing is not easy, but it's being done, and mainly it's being done for school budgets. You can't afford to give a shiny, pretty new laptop to every single student. So bring your own device, and we have to figure out how to make them work. And this is really where collaboration comes in. There's sometimes that device is going to work better than this device depending on the task at hand. So that's key in flexible thinking on the part of students and teachers. It's, okay, we've got this task to solve. How can we work collaboratively together with the tools we have to solve it? So this is, I always like to look to Forsyth, Georgia to see what they're doing that's new and cutting edge. And BYOT is a big thing right now in their schools. Love the little graphic too. Okay, now we have to always remember too that when we think about cell phones, many adults that are decision makers, policy makers, are not the youngest. And sometimes we have trouble seeing our screen. In my case, my arms are not quite long enough sometimes to hold my phone away so I can see it. But we have to remember that's us and not them. It's so interesting to see little young people that can navigate iPads, iPhones, everything's, and get to exactly what they need. And so we have to start to think about who's our client, who are we serving, and the reality is, in their world, that cell phone might be their computer. It might be their only computer. I love this. Bring your own technology. Mark Willis, and whatever it is, bring it on in, and we're going to go ahead and talk about it. This is a blog post. It's very, very interesting. Now, they have the devices in their pockets. We know that. We tell them to lock them up, but usually they're in their hoodie or their pocket. Watch them walk down the halls. They just lumber at you with all their technology. So have them participate with the device they have. This is hands down my favorite one right now. And this is called polleverywhere.com. And you can make your own polls and you get up to 30 answers back for every question. Now, what I always do is I group people before I do this because I want not everyone has a device, but secondly, not everybody, all adults know how to respond in this way. But also I want that conversation. I want to discuss it before they submit an answer. Poll Everywhere, you can have, I think, unlimited polls, but you can only accept the 30 answers at one time, which is fine. When you group everybody together, accept the 30 answers, then clear the answers before you go into the next class. And that way you can reuse the same poll. It's just you're clearing out the results. I'm so excited about this. The people at Poll Everywhere are working on a classroom response system. Well, the classroom response system is similar to what people call the clickers. A lot of schools have the clickers, which are great because the clickers have very, very robust software behind them. If we're just looking at Poll Everywhere, I don't know who texted in that question. And if I had a classroom response system, I would know because I'd have the students log in with their clickers. So when I saw this Poll Everywhere, that they're working on creating a classroom response system, I was so excited. So I'm interested to kind of keep tabs on what's going on here. So instead of buying they're expensive, the classroom response systems. If you don't already have one, they're, I'm going to say, between $1,500 and $2,000, depending. And yes, the software is great, but that's a lot of money. And if the students already have a device in their pocket that can do a similar thing, let's try to use their device. I think that's really important. This is what you do. You just go ahead and set one up. You can ask a multiple choice one, but you can also ask a free text one. So you could practice spelling words, you could do an exit slip activity, what's the main point or the day, or have students solve a math problem on paper, have them text in their answers, and then have a conversation about it. So multiple choice, yes, no, true, false, and then the open text, which I just love. And what you do, if you look on the right, it says stop the poll. And then if I toggled it, it would say start the poll. So when you're getting ready to go ahead and do a poll, you go ahead and start the poll. So if I had results from another group, I clear those results out. So I'm ready for 30 new responses. Clear out the results and then go ahead and start the poll. Hold on for a moment. Before we go on, then you're ready to start the poll. Start, and then right next to where it says start the poll and stop the poll, there'll be the option to go full screen. Clicking on the full screen option makes it much easier for the whole group not only to see the poll, but to see what code they want to go ahead and text in. Okay. Now, they're working on all different things, but one of the things too is they have all different plans, pricing, and so on and so forth, but they have a plugin for PowerPoint. So you can plug this in right into PowerPoint, and then you can have, you make your polls, embed them right into your presentation as you're creating it. So here's the education, the K-12 education plans. Oh, they changed it. Now it's up to 40, which is great. And you can see different things. Contact us. The K-12, the 40 is free, one teacher, and then it looks like an individual teacher is going to be $50 a year. So it just depends on what your purpose is, how much you're going to use it, to go ahead to see if it's going to be worth paying for more, paying for the service. And so we get 40, contact us. So it just depends. And this would be a conversation to have with your entire school district. But what's interesting is as I see more districts going to BYOT, you look at this and at first you say $50 a year, that's outrageously expensive. But what is that, $1 a week? And we can get responses from 40 students. So you have to think about how you want to use it. Now, they're not just phones anymore, because I told you they don't really talk to anybody. They're smartphones, meaning they have a data plan. and the data plan can get them on the internet using their cell phone provider. Now, I know in some of the old buildings that it is difficult to get a cell signal, which is awful. So, you're standing at the window, you're leaning out the window trying to get a cell signal. So that is a problem. But the smartphones, in most cases, mean that they can get apps, all different apps of all different kinds. Droids, iPhone, it just doesn't matter. There's all different apps that you can get from the App Store or the Marketplace. Now again, I'm old. I have trouble with the little screen, but most of the devices you can make them larger or smaller, depending on what your needs are. And there is an app for just about everything. Haven't figured out one to cook dinner yet, but I'm sure that's coming. Well, at least gives me recipes for dinner. Okay, this is my favorite place to go to get reviews of apps. I don't go into the App Store without being directed. In this case, this is my friend Scott Meach's site, and Scott has a team that reviews apps, all educators. So they've kind of gone through an educational look, and then if they're good enough, they make it into the app of the week or they make it into the collection. I always start here. This one is new to me. Fun educational apps, and I haven't used this as much as I've used iEar, but it has some really good suggestions on different things. Of course, the App Store. There's an app for that, but look at this. How am I going to figure out which toddler puzzle is going to be the best one? So once I find the name to the app that somebody's recommended, then I turn to the App Store. Thousands of apps. It's amazing. I forget there's some number of how many apps are released every day on average. It's outrageous. So keep our eye open for. There's an app for everything. Look at this. Ah! And this is somebody's iPhone that they captured how many apps they have. I'm like, get a folder, clean it up. It's a mess. That would drive me crazy to look at that. Okay, you can tell my opinion is I think we should get them out of our pockets. I think we should use them as learning tools. We have to get over them. We didn't ban pens. We didn't get rid of paper or pencils. So I think we really need to rethink cell phones and communications. Thanks.